Caitanya-caritāmṛtai Ānandāmృtivarthanai Sanikranam Kaivalyanisvartam Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugam Sri Deva Gopalakam.
Good evening. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to the unedited, unchanged books of Srila Prabhupada, which will live on as time goes on, despite all the situations that may take place in his movement. Just like nowadays, we celebrate every December 25th the appearance, so-called appearance of Lord Jesus Christ, who is the Acharya for the Christian movement. Even though the Christian movement is very sectarian. It's not only sectarian in terms of how it perceives other religious groups, but it's also very sectarian within its own group. I am the way, the truth, and the light. No one cometh unto the Father except by me. This is a famous verse from the Bible that every Christian group interprets for their own particular sect. Like, for example, if you're a Catholic, I was raised myself as a Roman Catholic, and as far as we were concerned, we were the one true church, Catholicism. And then these other groups, you have the Protestant groups, so many different Protestant groups, and then all different individual groups that are scattered throughout the world. Like in Hamilton here, there are hundreds of different churches that all claim they have the truth. One of our members here at the ashram in Hamilton, he goes for the Christmas festivities at a church on Barton Street here in Hammer. And the head of the church, he's Prophet Tom. Prophet Tom. One of my friends says, how do you spell prophet? P-R-O-F-I-T. So this idea of sectarianism is prevalent throughout the world, and not only throughout the Christian world, but also in our small group, the ISKCON world, very, very sectarian. So much so that when the founder left, he predicted that the temples may fail. Prabhupada predicted that, but my books won't fail. And after his departure, so many people started up their own guru cults. Oh, yes. And that history is manifested now in full bloom until they depart. When these people depart, then their elected or appointed gurus will carry on. And then after they leave, their appointed gurus will carry on. And within a few generations, this movement will be completely destroyed by whimsical ways of so many different people. So, this is very unfortunate, but Prabhupada's books will not fail, especially his authorized books that he personally authorized, like the Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is the original 72 Macmillan version. And so these books, this is our main focus here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association and with the different branches of the Hare Krishna Society, which was started in 2002. We have all types of people running or operating these preaching missions throughout the world, even now. And it's based on the protection of Prabhupada's legacy in the form of his transcendental literatures. I mentioned to my godbrother today, his name is Romeshwar Prabhu. I mentioned to him because he made a comment in writing on how he was so disappointed with the translations of the different translations of Prabhupada's books by the DBTI. And he said they must be restored, in paraphrasing him, but be restored to their original edition. So I asked him, I said, "Oh, Prabhu, you know, I've known you for 50 years as a godbrother. Actually, we distributed millions of books when I was president of Toronto Temple. I also went out on book distribution on the streets, on traveling Sankirtan. We had a Sankirtan bus like Vishnu John Swami that I headed up. And I also went to the O'Hare Airport in Chicago because my godbrother from Hamilton here, Uttama Shloka, was the president at the time in Chicago for a short while. And I used to go there and visit regularly and distribute books in the airport with all these devotees that were very committed to the book distribution, like Pragosh Vaishesheka, who was a very well-known book distributor back then, worked very hard at it. So lots of distribution of books, but now the books are changed. They're quite different. They're not the same. And this is the tragedy. So much sectarianism, so much difficulty, but we're not interested in sectarian belief. We're only interested in the transcendental position of Prabhupada as the bona fide. When Prabhupada refers to bona fide spiritual master, he is humbly referring to himself. He doesn't mention himself, but for the disciples of him, if you are logical, if you can connect the dots. A lot of people can't connect the dots. They read the books, they can't even listen to them, really. That's a reality. Some people may say, "Oh, I get it." Yes, sure, you'd get it. No. So this group that we started, the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society, and we want to thank everyone for being a part of this, the people that are attending our programs and have joined us online in the media of Facebook, have joined us online and are viewing our posts. We have at this pace, we have about 1 million views a year from different people on our posts and our preaching work. And I'm noticing in the last little while with our YouTube channel, we have quite a few new people coming to the channel, and we're moving up to 500 views per class. So some of them have even more views. So thank you very much for being a sincere seeker of the truth and being a part of our mission to protect the legacy. And Prabhupada had a wonderful legacy, as all of you know, and we'll read from the diary, Jaladuta diary, which gives us a direct insight into his early days of spreading Krishna consciousness. And we'll go right there to this diary. The following excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's room conversations and letters give further insight into his voyage to America and the incidents surrounding it. These selections have been obtained from the computer database, the complete works of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Excerpt from a room conversation with His Divine Grace in Bombay on November 7th, 1970. Prabhupada, so I went in USA without any sponsor. No, one. That is so he's referring, yes, he had a sponsor. One gentleman sponsored for 1 month only, not even 1 month. I remained there only 3 weeks. Excuse me. And then I chalked out my plan. He was my friend's son, and my friend wrote him that you sponsor Swamiji for 1 month. Yes, some American gentleman. No, Prabhupada says, Indian. One gentleman from Agra, so his son immediately sent me, sponsoring me, but still, the government objected that we cannot allow you to go there because you are sponsored by an individual person. But I wanted to see Chief Controller of what is called foreign exchange, Mr. Rahu. So he kindly accepted, yes, Swamiji, you can go. And he fought to get him permission. Guess too, that time it was very difficult. Passport I have got already. Passport, visa, so there was no money with me and in an awkward position. My philosophy is completely different. I was to ask them to cease from 4 kinds of sinful activities, and they are habituated to these things: illicit sex and drinking, wine and intoxication and gambling. These are their daily affairs. So I was thinking, I have to stop this. Who will hear me? But Krishna, everything became. Guest 1, may I ask you one thing? How you chose this America to be your first? Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj ordered me that you go and preach this cult amongst the English-speaking public, and especially in the Western countries. So first of all, I thought of London. There's London where I had no money. So I got the opportunity for going to the USA free on a trade ship by the India Steam Navigation, the Jaladuta. They gave me their first class cabinet, the proprietor's cabinet. I was well carried. First of all, I went free on a steamship. I had no money. What to speak of airplanes. So what was your question? My question is, was that how you selected America to be your destination? Prabhupada, yes. So I got the opportunity to go to America because their ship goes to New York. So I accepted, all right, we can see either go to London or New York. New York is a better place than London. Excuse me, everyone. Sorry. Okay, we'll keep going here. Let's see what time it is. Actually, we'll end now. So very nice conversation with Srila Prabhupada, telling about his history of coming to America and introducing Krishna consciousness to the Western-speaking countries, printing his books, opening temples, distributing prasadam, and distributing the holy name in Sankirtan on the streets of America with his disciples, hardworking disciples. And he introduced to the Western world Rath Yatra Festival, which was also a very big opportunity for many people to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath through Prabhupada's grace. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll go to the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, the bhajan that Prabhupada led. Oh, it's in New York. I was there. Krishna bless me. And after that, we'll have the reading and discussion from the original Caitanya-caritāmṛta with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in Twain Harte, California. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Pushpat Paramahansa Parivrajagacārya Sattva Sadasya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavavrind ki jai, Ramacārya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the Assembled Lord. All glories to the Assembled Lord. All glories to the Assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion class from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. It is to be noted that these classes are conducted from the original, non-adulterated, non-edited 1974 original version. Again, as we do every week, we read a few verses from the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, where it describes the transcendental benefit of hearing this great literature. This is from Adi Lila, chapter 1, from text number 18 through 22. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text number 19. Etina Thakur Gaudiya ke Karya Chenoyatmasat. Etinera Charanavandan Tire Morenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my art. Text number 20. Grantera Rambikari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, Simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Tinera smarane ai vigna vinashana, anayase ai nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text number 22. Se mangala charanoi trivida prakar vastu nirdesa shirvada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Again, welcome everybody participating either directly in listening to this presentation or on the other media channels. This transcendental literature, Caitanya-caritāmṛta, is very important in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It was compiled in the late 1500s under the direction of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana. The author, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, was a very great devotee of Lord Nityananda who had come from Bengal to Vrindavan, and under the direction and guidance of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, he compiled this literature. This is a massive literature of about 15,000 verses that describes the life and activities and the philosophy and the theology of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Today we will be reading from Adi Lila chapter 4. We will commence on text number 114. Before we start the reading, I just want to make a little announcement. Today I received a call from Australia. One of our devotees and friends, a very nice devotee, Balaram Prabhu, as well as other devotees in Australia, had experienced a very, very heavy hurricane, or what they call cyclone over there in Southeast Asia. And for a few days, they were without electricity, and I see that they have come back. So welcome back to all the devotees. I hope everything is coming back to normal gradually. This is the material world, and these things happen. Here in California, we have earthquakes, fires, and all kinds of other disturbances, but we cannot stop these influences. What we can do is devote our ears to hear the transcendental message of these literatures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And as Vishwakarma Prabhu was reading the diary of Srila Prabhupada, it's important to note, one devotee called me this week and he mentioned that this hearing about Prabhupada's early activities, how he started the movement, are very, very important, because it gives us an understanding of how a pure devotee, how a liberated soul conducts himself in all circumstances. In other words, he was completely transcendental to everything. Although there were difficulties, 2 hard attacks on the boat, he came out to America, he practically had no money. He stayed for 1 month. He had a sponsorship letter for only 1 month from Mr. One Agarwal in Butler, Pennsylvania, USA. Afterwards, he ended up going to New York and stayed in numerous different places. So there was no support from any institution. There was no support from any rich follower or disciple. All he had is his strong faith and unwavering commitment in the words of his spiritual master. And that is how this great literature, the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, came about. Text number 114, chapter 4, or
Prabhu,
18.
we should read 118 onwards. Yes.
Okay, all right, I get it. Text 18. Aririsha nachedava turishyan maturayam madurakshiradikacha abhavishyadiyam vritabhishrishtir marankas tuvishatas tadatra Harihi, Lord Krishna, Eshaha, this, na, not, Chet, if, Avatarishyat, would have descended, Mathurayam, in Mathura, Madhura Akshi, O lovely-eyed, Purnamasi, Radhika, Srimati Radhika, Cha, and Abhavishyat would have been, Iyam, this, Vrita, useless, Vishrishtihi, the whole creation, Makara Ankaha, the demigod of love, Cupid, to, then, Visheshataha, above all, Tada, then, Atra, in this, O Purnamasi, if Lord Hari had not descended in Mathura with Srimati Radharani, this entire creation, especially Cupid, the demigod of love, would have been useless. Purport. This verse is spoken by Sri Vrinda Devi in the Vidagdha Madhava 7.3 of Srila Rupa Goswami. Text 119-120. Imata purve Krishna rasera sadana, yadyapi karila rasa niryasa charavana, tatapi nahilatina vanchita purana, taha asfadita yadi karila yatana. Imata, like this, purve, previously, Krishna, Lord Krishna, rasera, of mellows, sadana, the reservoir, yadyapi, even though, karila, did, rasa, of the mellows, niryasa, the essence, charavana, chewing, tatapi, still, nahila, was not, tina, 3, vanchita, desired objects, purana, fulfilling, taha, that, asvadite, to taste, yadi, though, karila, were made, yatana, efforts. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Even though Lord Krishna, the abode of all mellows, had previously in this way chewed the essence of the mellows of love, still he was unable to fulfill 3 desires, although he had made efforts to taste them. Text number 121. Tanhara pratama vancha kariya vyakyan, Krishna kare amiyaila rasera nidan. Tanhara, his, pratama, first, vancha, desire, kariye, I do, vyakhyana, explanation, Krishna, Lord Krishna, kahe, says, ami, I, hoy, am, rasera, of mellow, nidana, primary cause. Translation. I shall explain his first desire. Krishna says, I am the primary cause of all rasas. Text 122. Purnanandamayami chinmaya purna tattva, radikar premayama karaya unmatta, purna anandamaya, made of full joy, ami, I, chitmaya, spiritual, purnatattva, full of truth, radikara, of Srimati Radharani, preme, the love, ama, me, karaya, make, unmata, maddened. Translation. I am the full spiritual truth and am made of full joy, but the love of Srimati Radharani drives me mad. Text 123. Najani Radhara Premia Chekatobala, Ye Bale Amare Kari Saravadi Vivala. Najani, I do not know. Radhara of Srimati Radharani, Preme in the love, Ache there is, Kata how much, Bala strength, Ye which, Bale strength, Amare me, Kare make, Sarvada always, Vivala overwhelmed. Translation: I do not know the strength of Radha's love, with which she always overwhelms me. Text 124. Radhikara prema guru yami shishyanata, sadaya manana nritya nachaya udbhata. Radhikara of Srimati Radharani, prema the love, guru teacher, ami I, Shishya disciple, Nata dancer, Sada always, Ama me, Nana various, Nritye in dances, Nachaya causes to dance, Udbhata novel. Translation: the love of Radhika is my teacher, and I'm her dancing pupil. Her prema makes me dance various novel dances. Text 125. Kasmad vrinde priyasaki harehe padamulat kutauso kundaranye kimiha kurute nritya shiksham guru kaha tam tvam murtihi pratitaralatam didvidikshushpuranti Shailu Shiva Brahmati Paritu Nartayanti Svapaschat Kasmat from where? Vrinde, O Vrinda, Priyasaki, O dear friend, Harehe of Lord Hari, Padamulat from the lotus feet, Kutaha where? Asau that one, Lord Krishna, Kunda Aranye in the forest, on the bank of Radha Kunda, Kim what? Iha here, Kurute he does, Nritya Siksham dancing practice, Guruhu teacher, Ka who, Tam him, Tvatmurtihi your form, Pratitarulatam on every tree and vine, Viddivikshu in all directions, Spuranti appearing, Shailushi expert dancer, Iva like, Brahmati wonders, Paritaha all around, Nartayanti causing to dance, Svapaschat behind. Translation: O my beloved friend Vrinda, where are you coming from? I'm coming from the feet of Sri Hari. Where is he? In the forest on the bank of Radha Kunda. What is he doing there? He's learning dancing. Who is his master? Your image, Radha, revealing itself in every tree and creeper in every direction, is roaming like a skillful dancer, making him dance behind. Purport. This text is from the Govinda Lilamrita, 877 of Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Kādhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataha Adadana Srinam Danteridam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shat Karumi Swam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we have description from Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami of the internal transcendental activities between Radha and Krishna. Just recently, one neighbor, came to the house and she saw the cover of the Krishna book. And there's the very attractive picture of Radha and Krishna, just like the picture behind my head over here. And she asked, well, who is the girl with Krishna? I said, this is Radharani, the topmost devotee of Krishna. She's like his wife. She says, oh. I said, this is a very special relationship. I said, and this relationship is described in the book called Srimad Bhagavatam and also in Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And I pointed out to her, behind me on the sides, there's all these books. I says, it's fully described here, the activities, the qualities, the pastimes, and everything else related to Krishna and his activities with Radharani. And here we see that Krishna Das Kaviraj is very nicely describing in detail what is that relationship and how to understand that relationship. As we discussed in the beginning of the discussion tonight, Krishna Das Kaviraj compiled the Caitanya-caritāmṛta under the guidance and authority and inspiration of the 6 Goswamis. That's why at the end of every chapter, Krishna Das Kaviraj mentions the Goswamis. He very respectfully offers his respects to the Goswamis. For example, in text number 277 of chapter number 4, text 277, he says, Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Dyara Ash, Caitanya-caritāmṛta Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, following in their footsteps. So this is a very important point, because as devotees, we never think, a devotee is never to think that I'm so qualified, I'm a big devotee, I'm a famous devotee, I'm a senior devotee, I know so much, I've done so much. That is not how we're supposed to think. Every time we have one of these discussions or classes, we recite various stotras and hymns and prayers before the class. We offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. We offer obeisances to the 6 Goswamis. And one of those prayers was composed by one of the 6 Goswamis, namely Raghunath Das Goswami. It goes like this: Adadana Srinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani. This is Raghunath Das Goswami expressing his respects and his very deep appreciation of Rupa Goswami. He says that I bow down at the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, placing a blade of grass in my mouth, and repeatedly beg, birth after birth, so I can simply be a piece of dust at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. Now, this is a very exalted devotional understanding and devotional expression. But this is an example that is given to us how we should be thinking. Not that one should be thinking, oh, I'm such a great devotee, I'm the best devotee, we were the best devotees, we are such senior devotees, we had such close relationship with Prabhupada. Yes, that's very nice. That's very good. If you got personal association with Prabhupada, you did some very nice service for Prabhupada, that should be respected. Credit should be given. Well, one should not become arrogant, thinking that, oh, I was with Prabhupada, so it gives me a special understanding. Because we see practically that in order to understand Prabhupada's teachings, it requires a certain mentality. Just like in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, in the story of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Kaliya Lake, there was an incident where many people were thinking that Krishna had appeared in the distance because some light was shining at night. And in one purport, Prabhupada says, unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he will not be able to understand things as they are, even though he may remain constantly with the spiritual master. Mere physical association with the spiritual master is no guarantee of success. Just a few days ago, last Sunday morning, we had discussion on the Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 1, Chapter 4, about Prabhupada was explaining what is a sadhu, what is a saintly person, and how to associate with a saintly person. And Prabhupada was making the point that one should associate with a sadhu not by seeing, but by hearing. This is the same principles that Prabhupada taught, that Vani is more important than Vapu. Of course, it may be argued, well, you cannot get the Vani unless there was Vapu. Yes, but Prabhupada himself always emphasized that the Vani is more important than the Vapu. But yet, there is a class of devotees with a poor fund of knowledge who are preaching that emphasis on their Vapu is more important than Prabhupada's Vani because Prabhupada is not available according to them. Well, Prabhupada is always available, just like Krishna is always available. Once Prabhupada was asked, well, can you show Krishna? And Prabhupada's reply, well, do you have the eyes to see? Unless you have the eyes to see, what will you understand? So this is an important point. The proper mindset, the proper mentality, the proper approach to understanding Prabhupada's teaching is submissive oral reception, and always understanding the exalted position of the pure devotee. Not that one should think, oh, Prabhupada was a pure devotee and he was a great devotee, and sometimes in his books he's speaking very nicely, and other times when he speaks about women, about race, about the creation, about the universe, well, then he was being influenced by colonial views or British influence. No. This is the incorrect understanding. Narayana paraha sarve nakutasana vibhyati svarga parga bhagvishu apitulyarta darshinaha. That a pure devotee, a devotee of Lord Narayana, a devotee of Lord Krishna, is always undisturbed in any circumstances. Whether it is Svarga, the higher planets, the heavenly planets, Apavarga, or to be liberated, or Narakeshwapi, whether it's the lower planets. Tulyarta Darshana is never disturbed. And this is what we're seeing by reading this diary before the beginning of every class. What are we hearing from Prabhupada's activities? Look how Prabhupada was so careful to document everything. Like Prabhupada sometimes, Vishwakarma Prabhu was reading previously, that Prabhupada would take a bus fare, it would cost 25 cents, 35 cents, or a collection of $1.50 or $2. He would write it down. Why? Somebody may say that is such insignificant amounts of money. Why was it so? Because he knew, he had full, complete, total realization, everything belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to God. And everything should be used for the service of Krishna without any tinge of personal sense gratification. The minute one starts thinking, this belongs to me, this belongs to him, this is mine, this is yours, this is my zone, his zone, our zone, then everything becomes nonsense. The minute one disobeys the spiritual master, what happens? The false ego comes in. The false ego comes in. One starts thinking, oh, I'm a special devotee, I'm a big devotee, I'm this and that, I know so much, I know this. And then we start to see what happens. They start to be an illusion, thinking they're the proprietor. One starts to think that he is the master, that he can do whatever he likes with impunity. Very dangerous mindset. Very dangerous mindset. Today, somebody contacted me from Europe very early in the morning. He wanted to know, well, why is it that in 1977 there were so many events that took place? Why did Krishna allow some of these events to take place? In other words, the implication is Krishna always protects his pure devotee. Why would Krishna allow this? Well, Krishna allows a lot of things. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, one of Krishna's name is given Anumanta. He permits, the permitter. According to the desire of the living entity, Krishna will permit. Sometimes he permits, sometimes he does not. Let me give an example. There was a lecture once where Srila Prabhupada was commenting on this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishtaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That I give the knowledge, the remembrance, and the forgetfulness for every living entity. So if Prabhupada says, if somebody wants to remember Krishna, Krishna will give him the intelligence. And Prabhupada, just like the Mayavadis, they want to forget Krishna. They want to defy Krishna. And Krishna is also giving him the intelligence that you interpret this verse from Bhagavad Gita in this way, you interpret that verse from Bhagavad Gita in this way. In this way, they'll never understand Krishna. So this is a very important point. Depending on the purity of the desire, the purity of the heart, the real intention of a devotee, Krishna will facilitate. Just like, for example, during the time of Advaita-Acārya, it's mentioned in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta by Krishnadas Kaviraj that 3 of the sons of Advaita-Acārya deviated, and 3 of his sons remained faithful to his teachings. Now somebody may say, well, Advaita-Acārya is considered an incarnation of Mahavishnu. How can that happen? Because Krishna will not interfere with your independence. Krishna will give you the independence, but you have to use that independence to follow Krishna in his instructions. Just like during the time of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, there were many groups. Many persons came in touch with this exalted transcendental personality, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, but not everybody really understood who he was. Some of them were envious of him, like Vibhishana in Jagannath Puri, who tried to harm Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Some caste Brahmins, some Sahajiyas had no regards for Bhaktivedanta Thakur and his teachings. It did not diminish Bhaktivedanta Thakur, but they could not understand. Why did Krishna allow all the tribulations and difficulties that the Pandavas had? Why did Krishna allow all the sufferings that Prahlad Maharaj was inflicted? So many difficulties. Why did Krishna allow Haridas Thakur to be flogged 22 times in different marketplaces? We all know, we are from the Western world, why did Krishna allow Jesus Christ to be crucified? So there are so many activities of Krishna and his pure devotees. And speculation will not help. There is always a plan of the Lord. There is always a plan of the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme. We see in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Krishna Das Kaviraj used the Sanskrit words, Daivera Karana, that sometime by the will of providence, these things happen. In the story of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Padmaharish Parikshit, who had been cursed by the young Brahmin boy, Shringi, to die in 7 days. And there are so many explanations from Srila Prabhupada that sometimes there are things that we cannot understand, but there is always the transcendental plan of Krishna. Of course, one should not be blind or become a foolish sentimentalist. One has to see things for what they are. But in order to properly understand, there is knowledge, there are explanations. The pure devotee Srila Prabhupada has explained so many things. It is up to us to pray to Krishna and pray to his pure devotee to understand things properly. And this has nothing to do whether one is an older devotee, senior devotee, newcomer. Any newcomer can listen to this class. And even if they hear one word from Caitanya-caritāmṛta or Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, they will make spiritual advancement. They will make spiritual advancement, guaranteed. That is the statement of Srila Prabhupada. When devotees were distributing so many books in the 1970s, Prabhupada was one asked, well, what will benefit these people get? Some of them, they don't read the book. Prabhupada, even if they touch the book, they'll be benefited. In the Nectar of Devotion, it said, even if they keep the Srimad Bhagavatam in their house, they will be benefited. Of course, some of them, just like one time I had a Jewish friend in Buffalo, New York, very educated man, and he was very proud to show me how he had the Kṛṣṇa book on his shelf. Some devotees had distributed the Kṛṣṇa book. I said, did you ever read it? I said, no, I looked at it once. I looked at the pictures. I kept it there. It just looks nice. I said, that's good. Make sure you keep it there. That's very good for you. Very beneficial. I said, it's very auspicious for you to have this book in the house. So this is the power of Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee, that he gives the message to everyone without any discrimination, without any favoritism. One devotee recently said, oh, sometimes you and Vishwakarma are disrespectful to the older devotees. I said, no. Prabhupada was once asked, what about the big devotees in this movement? And Prabhupada stopped. He says, I'm the only big devotee in this movement. Another time, a devotee complained there was some dispute about senior and junior. Prabhupada, we said in a letter to a devotee named Gopi Jana Vallabha Dasa, we have no such thing in our movement as big or small devotees. We're all serving Krishna. So that is a very good starting point for reflection, understanding, and realization. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Yaśodā, for that wonderful explanation of these verses today. And before we call upon Puranjana and Dharma Bhavana and Janaspriya, I wanted to refer to a quote from Jesus and that he had told his disciples. Now, it was interesting. I looked it up, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu online. I have yet many things to say to you, but yea, you are not able to bear them now. So when I was looking at the verse, they had all kinds of versions of this translation of the verse, depending on the religious sect, Christian sect that was translating it. So we can see that this proliferation of change has taken place in the Christian movement. And it's already began in the Krishna Conscious ISKCON movement, moving forward into history. So here we have a situation where it's already started, even just after 50 short years of Prabhupada's presence. Now there's so many different versions and explanations. Incredibly, every individual Christian group has a different version of this verse. I have yet many things to say to you, but yea, you are not able to bear them now. And this can be changed by ambitious religious zealots or so-called ambitious religious gurus. And they are in the Christian group and everywhere. So the reason that Jesus did say that was because he was teaching a basic understanding of spiritual life. And here today, it's interesting to note that the information that he was saying you couldn't bear to hear was spoken by Krishna Das Kaviraj in Caitanya-caritāmṛta in these verses. And just for a quick review, I'll go back to text 119 to 120, because this is what Lord Jesus is referring to, what is here in these passages today in Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Even though Lord Krishna, the abode of all mellows, has previously in this way chewed the essence of the mellows of love, still he was unable to fulfill three desires, although he made efforts to taste them. I shall explain first his first desire. Krishna says, I'm the primary cause of all rasas. Text 122, I am the full spiritual truth and am made of full joy, but the love of Sri Mati Radharani drives me mad. I do not know the strength of Radha's love with which she always overwhelms me. The love of Radhika is my teacher, and I'm her dancing pupil. Her prema makes me dance various novel dances. And text 125, Oh, my beloved friend Vrinda, where are you coming from? I'm coming from the feet of Sri Hari. Where is he? In the forest on the bank of Radhakunda. What is he doing there? He is learning dancing. Who is his master? Your image, Radha, revealing itself in every trace, every tree and creeper in every direction, is roaming like a skillful dancer, making him dance behind. And that's a text from Govinda Lilamrita. And whatever pleasure I get from tasting my love for Srimati Radharani, she tastes it 10 million times more than me by her love. So these are very intimate points about the transcendental nature of Krishna and his relationship with Radharani. So Jesus was telling his disciples, I have yet many things to say to you, but yea, you are not able to bear them now. And this is the difference between Prabhupada's teachings and the teachings of Lord Jesus, because he is giving us an intimate explanation of the rasas that Krishna enjoys with his devotees in Goloka Vrindavan. So Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, I was wondering if you could read those verses that you put up on the post for us, and then we'll have our various godbrothers from around the world make comments. So if you could go to those posts, please.
Which verses are you referring to?
You did on the chat, all those items on the chat. Or is that fair?
You have to show them to me. I get literally dozens, sometimes 100 chat a day.
The chat on this program right now.
The beginning verses before we started to speak?
No, the verses
Which
that you.
verses?
Let me see if I can get them for us.
Maybe Venkat can help. These are the verses we recite
Because-
just before I begin to see.
No, because he is the Yaśodā posted, because he is the representative of God. So if you want to approach God, you must approach through the representative woman. How do you explain the fact that Jesus, and on it goes like that?
Okay.
Maybe you see it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically Prabhupada is explaining, because he's the only way, we also admit, because he's the representative of God, so if you want to approach God, you must approach through his representative. That is his version, that I am the only... That is his version, that I'm the only representative of God. Then you have to reach God through him. That is fact. Madhvisa. Okay, let me just see here the chat.
Well, Venkat's got it up on the screen.
Yeah, I see. There's also the issue in the Bible. Prabhupada says, now in the Bible, Lord Jesus Christ is described as the Son of God. Now, so far I have heard that it is claimed that he is the only one Son of God. Now, according to Bhagavad Gita, every living entity is Son of God. Now, how to adjust? If the Bible says that Lord Jesus Christ is the only one Son, then how these so many innumerable sons can be adjusted? There is adjustment. There is very nice adjustment. One should know it is the only one Son means one who can sacrifice his life for God. He is real Son. And one who is simply taking from Father, oh God, give us our daily bread, then he's supplying and eating and enjoying sense enjoyment. He's not real Son. The real Son is he who sacrifices his life for glorifying his Father. Similarly, anyone who will sacrifice his life, of course, it is not required that everyone shall be crucified like Lord Jesus Christ, but he should sacrifice his energy for the Supreme Lord. And that person who has devoted his energy for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, he is called Krishna conscious person. This was from a Srimad Bhagavatam lecture on January 3rd, 1970. Very, very nice. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, maybe we could have, before we call upon our other members to speak, we could read the passage that Rupesh Chawan has put up in the chat for everyone's benefit. Maybe we could read that.
This is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, Text 37. Prabhupada explains, when something is arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should not be disturbed by it, even if it appears to be a reverse according to one's calculations. For example, sometimes we see that a powerful preacher is killed, or sometimes he is put into difficulty, just as Haridas Thakur was. He was a great devotee who came into this material world to execute the will of the Lord by preaching the Lord's glories. But Haridas was punished at the hands of the Qazi by being beaten in 22 marketplaces. Similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified, and Prahlad Maharaj was put through so many tribulations. The Pandavas, who were direct friends of Krishna, lost their kingdom. Their wife was insulted, and they had to undergo many severe tribulations. Seeing all these reverses affect devotees, one should not be disturbed. One should simply understand that in these matters, there must be some plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavatam's conclusion is that a devotee is never disturbed by such reverses. He accepts even reverse conditions as the grace of the Lord. One who continues to serve the Lord, even in reverse conditions, is assured that he will go back to Godhead, back to the Vaikuntha planets. Lord Brahma assured the demigod that there was no use in talking about how the disturbing situation of darkness was taking place, since the actual fact was that it was ordered by the Supreme Lord. Brahma knew this because he was a great devotee. It was possible for him to understand the plan of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 16th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Two Doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, Cursed by the Sages. So this is a very important point. I see that our friend Balaram Prabhu in Turkey may have some questions in his connection. Maybe you want to give him some time to raise his issue.
We can at the end. I wanted to have Dharma Bhavana speak,
Okay.
if he could, on his realizations today on these points that have been brought up in the class about the difficulties that devotees experience and how to deal with them. Dharma
Well, thank you,
Bhavana.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
I was hoping you'd come to me last, but I'll try to speak a little bit. I was just thinking to myself how when Prabhupada came to America, a lot of devotees, unless you really read the diary and you read the 1966, 67 years, and one devotee asked me one time, oh, it must be that all the devotees just love Prabhupada, were completely obedient. And I said, yes, that's true. But there are also a few who would really argue and really create a trouble for Prabhupada. So it wasn't, and he was loved by everyone, but at the same time, there was a whole lot of challenges, even from the devotees. So Prabhupada had so many challenges, and we talk about it. So you've done a good job to describing a little bit. I was going to read, for example, in early 1970s, when the book distribution was going on very strong, 70s, someone may ask the question, what did all the college professors who gave reviews, what did they say about the books? Were they really good quality? Were they in need of revision, and so on? So I wanted to read a couple reviews. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
By bringing us a new and living interpretation of a text already known to many, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda has increased our understanding many-fold. Professor Edward C. Dimmock, Jr., Department of South Asian Languages and Civilization, University of Chicago. And these are professors who are normally the top of their class, really, really young. As a native of India, now living in the West, this is Dr. Kailash Vajpayee. As a native of India, now living in the West, it has given me much grief to see so many of my fellow countrymen coming to the West in the role of gurus and spiritual leaders. For this reason, I am very excited to see the publication of Bhagavad Gita as it is by Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. It will help to stop the terrible cheating of false and unauthorized gurus and yogis, and will give an opportunity to all people to understand the actual meaning of Oriental culture. I'll do one more also. The scholarly world is again indebted to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Although Bhagavad Gita has been translated many times, Prabhupada adds a translation of singular importance with his commentary. Dr. J. Stilson Judah, Professor of History of Religion and Director of Libraries, Graduate Theological Union, Berkeley, California. One more. The last one I said was from Dr. Kailash Vajpayee, Director of Indian Studies, Center for Oriental Studies, University of Mexico. I just thought I'd read those because I hope anybody didn't take up too much time. Devotees may have a lot of questions.
No, that's perfect. Thank you very much. And I wanted to call upon Paranjana, Tim Lee, who's also, I believe, in California. Isn't he, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu?
Yes, somewhere in California.
Okay, he's there. Maybe he could share some of his insights on today's highlights of the discussion.
Yeah,
Tim Lee.
Haribo, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to show you what I'm working on right now. Whoop, what happened? Hang on. Here we go.
You have the
This
same
is,
password as me,
yeah,
108. Got it.
1008.
Go ahead,
My
please.
little Mother Yasoda and Krishna
Uh-huh.
I'm working on. So it's kind of meditating on how when Krishna was here, all of his, close associates were having a lot of difficulty with the demons and things like that. So it's not unusual that we will have problems ourselves. Even Mother Yasoda had problems with the
Yes.
demons. And not only Mother Yasoda, but Krishna himself had problems. There were so many opposing elements that were trying to, chop down Krishna's activities and take Krishna's life and so many things. So what to speak of us, you know? If the material world will attack Krishna, we will certainly be in the crosshairs of the material energy ourselves. Anyone who takes up the cause of Krishna will be, just like Krishna, will be a target for, oh, the rascals, because the rascals are opposed to Krishna. That's why they're here. That's why all of us are here. We're part of the rascal group, really. But we're trying to reform, but just because we're cooperating with the governor in the prison doesn't mean the other prisoners aren't going to attack us and beat the heck out of us.
Rose, PR, HQ370C.
Cause trouble for us. So so anyway, yeah, Mother Yasoda, she was always looking out, at the side of her eye there. Are the demons going to come now, and get Krishna? But one thing is, a lot of devotees don't realize they don't understand it's their duty to try to rectify situations. And so I wanted to read a little bit real quickly from chapter 3, text 15, from the first canto, the original first canto, chapter 3, text 15. O the Brahmins, the ninth incarnation of the Lord was invented by him, prayed for by the sages. He accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land by various produce, and for that reason the earth is so beautiful and attractive. Purport. Before the advent of King Prithu, there was great havoc and maladministration due to the vicious life of the previous king or the father of Maharaj Prithu. The intelligent class of men of the society, namely the sages and the brahmanas, not only prayed the Lord to come down, but also they dethroned the previous king. So it is the duty of the Brahmins to dethrone bad administration. We're not supposed to just sit around and watch the citizens suffer and have all these problems with bad administration. So it's our duty. A lot of people don't realize that, especially devotees. They think, oh, well, leave it up to Krishna and, it's not my problem and all that kind. No, it is your problem. It is your duty to dethrone the maladministration. It is the duty of the king to be pious and thus looking after all the round welfare of the citizens. Whenever there is some negligence on the part of the king in the matter of discharging the king's duty, the intelligent class of men must dethrone such worthless king. The intelligent class of men, however, do not occupy the royal throne because they have much more important duty for the welfare of the public. So it's not our duty. People ask me that too. Well, Prajna, why aren't you a leader? Why aren't you taking over? Well, because that's not really my job. My job is to be advising and helping behind the scenes to try to create the right administration. That's the job of the Brahmins, to be advising to the king. Such intelligent class of men, instead of occupying the royal throne, then prayed for the incarnation of the Lord, and the Lord came as Maharaj Prithu. Real intelligent class of men or qualified Brahmins never aspire after political post. Maharaj Prithu excavated many produce from the earth, and thus not only the citizens became happy to have such good king, but also the complete site of the earth became beautiful and attractive. So anyway, there's many instances where the Brahmins had to interfere with the maladministration going on the planet, and that is really the duty of a Vaishnava to help rectify the situation, to alleviate the suffering of the citizens. And if we don't do that, we're implicated. We're negligent. We're guilty by default of we shouldn't allow crimes to take place. But we are making good progress, and I think more and more people are realizing, yeah, you can't just sit around and let maladministration, or it will overtake your society, and then everyone will suffer. There won't be any citizen untouched. The whole thing will become corrupt unless people stand up and stop the maladministration. Haribol, that's what I wanted to say.
For encouragement in these matters, because it is a very difficult position to take, the role of trying to protect Prabhupada's legacy, because there are lots of people in the spiritual culture that Prabhupada created that will object to that. And in some cases, as you know, they'll become vigorously opposed to anyone who speaks out. And they will also do anything they can to harm those people, because this is the material world and people are envious. And this envy comes up, and then the trouble comes. So we have to be mindful that we are on a mission, Paranjana. Yes, we are. And we're working forward with this as we progress along with our YouTube channels, our use of social media, our newsletter, which is coming out, various other projects that we've introduced into our mission. And it's all specifically for the protection of the absolute truth through Prabhupada's Vani incarnation. We have Jonas Priya with us in Hawaii, our good friend and very good devotee of Lord Chaitanya for 45 years now. Prabhu, maybe you could share some of your insights on today's discussion amongst the devotees.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Aloha to everybody. Are we getting an echo, or you're okay? The sound.
A bit of an echo, but see what you can do. Carry on. Not too
I
bad.
could fix that. That's what I
Okay.
want there.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. Again,
That's
I
way
want to
better.
say, as always, that I'm very thankful to be in this great association. The only place where you could hear as it is, as close as to Prabhupada, explain things. Why? Because we were talking about Jesus earlier, and
Yes.
one conversation, Prabhupada is arguing with some Catholic priest, and he says, an ordinary man could have many sons, 20 or whatever, and God could only have one. So this is like complete nonsense anyhow, but we understand the message that yes, to get to Krishna, you have to go through a friend of Krishna. And he gave the example that if you want to meet President Nixon, it's very difficult. But if you have a friend that knows Nixon, then he could get you in very easily. So he said in the same way, Krishna sends Lord Chaitanya sends the spiritual master. So the spiritual master has that Divya Gyan. He could impart this knowledge to anybody. And Prabhupada never discriminated whether poor, rich, white, black, gay, straight. Prabhupada didn't waste any time. He simply preached to everybody the same thing. You're not this body, you're the spirit soul. What is the duty of the spirit soul is to serve Krishna. So if we understand these things, then we can understand the more settled things. But we have to start understanding that. And that's why Prabhupada preaches the same thing on every page. How much every purport, Prabhupada will talk about how we have to surrender to Krishna. And by doing so, what do Krishna promise us? He says, if you think of me, if you worship, what's going to happen to you? You'll come to me. So what a deal, huh? It's a party to worship Krishna. Krishna Consciousness, I challenged people that I talked to. I said, you show me a more fun God than Krishna. And I'll check him out. And so far, nobody's able to come out with any God that is even close to Krishna. And Krishna is so amazing that he sent us Prabhupada. No Prabhupada, no Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, I see that maybe our friend in Turkey has a question for you. Maybe you could ask him. Yaśodā,
go ahead, Balaram Prabhu. Go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm actually in New York right now. And because of being here, I've been having discussions with Nimai Pandit Prabhu. We've been talking, one of the main topics, poison issue, and whether to take it into the public eye by court case, like that. So that was my letter to, or my questions to you this morning. And it's very nice that this devotee, I don't know his name, shared this part of the Bhagavatam, because it kind of partly answers something. Where
Puranjana.
Is it
That's
Puranjana?
Yes. Go ahead, please. Carry on.
I think, is that Rupesh?
That's Rupesh. I thought you meant the verse that he read. We've had so much, but yeah, go ahead.
So I asked Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu this morning, actually, that, okay, Prabhupada wanted us to come and visit him while he was leaving his body, while he was getting ready to leave his body. And devotees wanted to go and see him, but somehow Krishna didn't allow that to happen, and it didn't happen. So Krishna, on one hand, is fulfilling the desire of other elements that didn't want people to come there, but we had the desire to be with Prabhupada. Prabhupada had the desire for us to be with him, and that didn't happen. So it's like trying to find out, are there other reasons and other realizations as to why that happened like that? So that was like one question to Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. And then second one that I wanted to think and get feedback from the devotees is, what do they think about this point? Because now some devotees are at the point and trying to decide, should they have a public poison case, court case opened against ISKCON? That's the discussion taking place. So I have 2 points I want to share with you and get your feedback if we have time, is that Srila Prabhupada himself, when we brought up this point about Jesus being crucified, and then the Christians using that being used to connect Jesus to people, oh, he died for me, oh, he's so dear to me, which looks good. But then Prabhupada wasn't happy that Jesus, pure devotee, was being remembered on a cross the way he died. So he didn't want us to remember Jesus like that. He didn't want his devotee to be remembered like that. And then in this text, Rupesh Prabhu sent, it said that Lord Brahma assured the demigods that there was no use in talking about how the disturbing situations of darkness was taking place, since the actual fact was that it was ordered by the Supreme Lord, which was, I was like, wow. So those are my two questions. Hare Krishna.
Well, it's a very long topic, which would take probably considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
And I realize that some devotees have devoted considerable resources, devotees in Florida and other countries, gathering evidence to basically discuss and present these issues to devotees. It's actually now on Facebook with many postings every single day. People are discussing the circumstances of what happened, various allegations, various statements. As far as the spiritual, philosophical understanding, I discussed a few things today of how everything happens by the arrangement of Krishna. Krishna will sometimes permit certain things, just like I may give the example of the Mayavadis. Now, Krishna permits and allows the Mayavadis to make their arguments. It doesn't mean that it's correct. So as far as what exactly happened, how it happened, should devotees take it to court? Well, you have to remember that courts may not be the best people equipped to interpret spiritual or transcendental events, because the understanding that everything happens under the control of Krishna, that Krishna protects his devotees. At the same time, Krishna is very merciful. If somebody wants to misuse their independence and acts whimsically, just like we saw in the post-1937 Gaudiya Math, Prabhupada made a statement that we have personal experience, our great institution was destroyed by whimsical behavior. So if somebody wants to, engage in whimsical behavior, contrary to the instruction and order of the spiritual master, there will be consequences. Let's say that there is no court case, okay, ever. Do you think that there is no personalities in the universe or in the transcendental world that are not noticing activities? Do we think that everything happens by chance? We're not materialistic people. We understand there's a cause behind everything. There are personalities controlling and noting everything. I was just listening to a conversation yesterday. Some devotees said, and Prabhupada says that Krishna is watching everything. Prabhupada is explaining, Krishna is noticing everything we do. If we want to return to him, he helps. If we want to go away with him, he's not going to interfere with our independence. So I guess it depends, devotees can take active part by preaching, by quoting Prabhupada's statements. There's nothing wrong with quoting Srila Prabhupada's statements. And preaching is the most effective. Just like Prabhupada, we look at his activities and his life. What did he do after all of the mayhem and chaos and conflict in the Gaudiya Math, in the post-1937 Gaudiya Math? He engaged in following the instruction of his spiritual master, and he preached relentlessly. When we analyze Prabhupada's activities, when he came to Boston and went to Pennsylvania, went back to New York, started the movement, went from Dr. Mishra's ashram, this place, that place, the Bowery, he just never stopped. He just kept following his guru's instruction. He kept preaching, kept presenting, and that's what we can do. When you look at I was involved with these things right from the start in 1978. And I've seen so many devotees over the years become bewildered by some of these issues. And the people ask me frequently, well, why is this happening? I said, never mind why it's happening. Why don't you do something about it? Preach, get some books, distribute, follow, chant your rounds, distribute some prasadam, preach to some devotees, take some books with you everywhere you go. That is one way of counteracting the nescience and what we perceive to be the deviations of some people. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so we're going to end up now. It's already 9:36 here on the East Coast, but I see I want to come in. We're going to be having special programs coming up in the near future to deal with these specific issues, Balaram, and really target in on them as points of interest for many devotees globally that are looking for proper direction with a real understanding of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness from Prabhupada and how he wanted us to act. There's lots of interpretations, as you know, so many different groups, just like in the Christian groups that we've reviewed today in their various quotes. So thank you very much.
Can I introduce something real quickly?
Quickly, please. Quickly, please. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, if you wanted to defeat them in court, yeah, the poison issue. I was the person who brought out the poison issue, and I thought about it for months. I was listening to the tape, and I said, if I bring this out, this is going to change history, like major time, big time. And it was a big concern, what happens if people believe Prabhupada was poisoned? But if you really want to defeat them in court easily, and with a non-controversial issue like the poison issue, could potentially be bring in the molesting issue. There's no question that they created a mass child molesting situation in this society. And no judge will rule in favor of a mass child molesting cult. You're not going to lose if you bring that issue out. No judge will rule in favor of mass child molesting. It won't happen. Bring that out and you got him done. That's my opinion.
Okay, very profound and very accurate. Also, in terms of defeat, is the misuse of funds, just like they brought down Al Capone through income tax evasion. So there's lots of features that we'll be presenting when we do bring our case forward in the courts here out of Canada, which we're preparing now. So let us move forward with the final part of our program, the chanting of Hare Krishna with our founder, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. And please join us on Saturday and Sunday this week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Bhagavad Gita class as it is, and Srimad Bhagavatam on Sunday. All glories to all of you. Haribol.
Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rubhyascha vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for participating in all these discussions. Yes, Vishwa Prabhu, you were kind of trying to make a point.
No, I'm just listening. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Wonderful discussions.
Very valuable, very enlivening.